Welcome, I'm Brother Malcolm, self-help, freedom philosopher. I deal with self-help and powers of the mind and working within the mind in consciousness. That's where you find the greater power of God, in consciousness, not hidden away in someone else's mind, so that someone else has to tell you about this power. This power that I'm talking about, consciousness, is not the same consciousness that you've heard about in the dictionary. It's not that you're conscious today. You say, oh, I'm aware of being who I am. Well, who are you? Ask yourself, who are you aware of being? And what information are you using to define yourself? This person, this awareness of being. On the inward journey, you get self-acquired direct knowledge of the consciousness of truth within you. Power and clarity. The clarity to understand that you are greater than the beliefs that you have been taught by others, and that you have the power to overcome them. You have the power to overcome them. On the inward journey, it's the journey within consciousness. So someone was asking me, how do you get into this consciousness? You know, is it meditation, prayer? Folks, it is letting go of your dependency on others. When you drop your load, take some of the weight off of you, the weight of toxic illusions that's weighing you down so you cannot get in to the consciousness. Too much information. You know, it's like the biblical thing, you know. In order for the rich man to get through the eye of the needle, you have to drop your load. You're carrying too much. So it's a metaphor. The metaphor is that you're carrying too much information about what you have been taught by others, and you don't want to let the information go. You want to use that same information to guide you to work in consciousness. And that's not the way it works. You first have to cleanse your mind, begin the process of creating, and the desire, I should say, for creating a new awareness of being, so that you are no longer thinking of yourself as being powerless, but you're thinking of yourself as a free person, an independent person. Not freedom in the way that you heard about it from others. No, I'm not talking about that kind of freedom, because that's not freedom. When the mind opens up, consciousness appears. This consciousness that I am talking about. I'm using the mind as a metaphor here also, to a place where the consciousness resides within the form, this body that I am in. But consciousness is greater than the mind. The unconditioned consciousness, the greater power of God in you, remains forever unconditioned. It creates humans, for example, and gives us consciousness, human consciousness, that is a replica of the consciousness itself. So we're created in consciousness in the image of the God within. Had nothing to do with form. I know people for years have been trying to find some type of favoritism to say, you know, well, I'm closer to God because of my race and color. Well, that's missing the point, folks. That's the darkness that comes from illusions. In consciousness, you're colorless, faceless, and formless. Colorless, faceless, and formless. Your energy. You're just existing as energy. Someone asks you, who are you aware of being? I am aware of being greater than my beliefs. I am always greater than my beliefs and my creations. Whatever I create, I am greater than my creation. Unlike what we may think today in the society where I'm living, creations tend to be greater than the people. Cellular phones and computers and laptops and all kinds of other technologies. It seems to be greater, that we seem to be unable to overcome our creations. And this is something that has been predicated in our lives since we arrived on this planet. We have been unable to overcome what others have taught us. We become a victim of our own beliefs. We start making up stuff. That's coming from the human consciousness. The human consciousness is where you begin to clear it away, all of see, it's like this invisible wall or energy field that's separating the human consciousness, your consciousness that you created in the illusion, from the authentic greater power of God within you. So when you begin to work in the mind, you begin to clear the mind, clear the consciousness of everything that you have learned in this world. When I say clear, folks, I'm not talking about forget. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm not talking about you forget, for example, the Ten Commandments or the Bhagavad Gita or the Upanishads. I'm not talking about other Bibles. I'm not talking about forgetting. I'm talking about depending on the information for the truth about you, or for the power and clarity you need to live successfully in this world. The light on the inward journey, which is within you. See, on the inward journey is where you discover, hey, I'm all right. Because of my color and my race, it has no bearing on me. Except when I return myself to those beliefs that I received from others, then I once again victimize myself by those beliefs. And people say, well, you would be crazy not to believe that in your race and color. Well, I say you're crazy to believe in it. Because that's where the pain is coming from. That's where the separation is coming from. That's where all of the things that people seek to escape now is coming from. It's coming from illusions about who you are. And placing value on people's forms, on their race and color. You're giving a value system to people who have God in them. You're diminishing God. The God in the person. By giving them something less than who they are. And then the person accepting it, embodying the information. Then they become powerless. From one generation to the next. This is kind of like, folks, this is like Santa Claus. See, when you first hear about Santa Claus, Santa Claus is really symbolic of everything that's happening in an illusion. It really is. And if you can simplify your life so that you can understand the difference between consciousness and unconditioned consciousness and the power within you, then you understand with Santa Claus, people are lying to you. They are deceiving you into believing in a myth that was created. Now, for entertainment purposes, to make little kids feel good. Some people say it's for money. Well, whatever the creation, people are deceiving kids. However you want to find this unpleasant, this deception between the adults and the children about Santa Claus is conceptually what's been happening to all of us in the world. Particularly we think about God. But what happened when you discovered Santa Claus was an illusion, unreal, a myth? You said, oh, now I know. See, now I know. But did you know before? Did you know before you discovered it? Or you may have had an older sibling or someone tell you about it. But what you wanted to find out, you needed confirmation. And so the sibling, or you, if you discovered it on your own, would go and discover where the gifts had been hidden in the closet somewhere so that you couldn't see them in an automobile. But when you discovered it for yourself, then you knew the truth about your relationship with Santa Claus, and it changed in that moment. That moment it changed. And that's what I'm talking to you about, the greater power of God in you. In that moment it changes of discovery. So, it's not like people said. They didn't know anything about it. It heard somebody talking about God created us in his own image. And then people start saying, well, I look like God more than you do. It's a metaphor, folks. And you understand this when you discover it on the inward journey. Yes, we are created in the direct image of the God consciousness within us. We have consciousness that we conditioned to think of ourselves based upon race and color and other things, and then we become victimized. In our consciousness becomes a place where we dwell in pain and suffering, and began to imagine another place that's free of pain and suffering, but we don't know how to get there. And Enlightenism is how to get there. On a journey within that you discover for yourself. You don't have to say, well, I'm taking Brother Malcolm's word for it. Then you would be doing the same thing that you've been doing all of your life. Discover it for yourself. Work within your mind and discover this for yourself. And when you discover it for yourself, then everything opens up. See, now the myth has dissolved itself. It's like Santa Claus. All of the deceivers of the world who have deceived us into believing that we do not have power, and then we affirming we do not have power. So wherever we show up powerless. Somebody else have what we want. You have what I want. You have the power. People start talking about all of the things outside, for example. Guns, bombs. More important, people talk about money, wealth. And that's where the power is. None of that is going to clear your mind of who you believe that you are and the way that you have been taught to think and live in this society. To find your freedom, you must look within. You must search within on the inward journey and have a desire to get off of the crowded road of toxicity. Take on the road that leads within you. Don't judge. I encourage people, don't judge yourself about where you are today. Just accept where you are today is believing that a greater power exists outside of you. Now, do you want to do the work to discover the power exists within you? That's what I'm talking about. It exists within you. Not in money, not in race and color, not in the shiny skyscrapers of San Francisco and New York and other places. All of those things are people falling in love with things that they have created that has no value anywhere in the universe except here, that people give value because we can create things to sort of play with ourselves. I am talking about stop playing with yourself. I'm talking about stop looking for yourself in history and discover yourself in the present time that's greater than history. You have, your mind is clearer than history because history is dependent upon someone else. This is a drastic approach, folks, to freedom. And it requires power and clarity that must come from you. And that's why I believe we've been living this way for all of our lives, waiting on somebody to give us some illusory freedom. You already have freedom. This transcends all races and colors. Oh, that has no value in consciousness, folks. No value at all. The power I'm talking about is in you. It's in you. And Enlightenism is a term I use to describe inner mind power and the inward journey. And so I'm chronicling what I am sharing with you by encouraging other people to look within yourself. That's what the book was about, or is about. Look within yourself. Look within yourself and find that place within you where you have peace. Even if it's temporary, and you want to do a temporary motivational thing, or meditation, or prayer, if you can find peace with it, then do it. I'm Brother Malcolm. I'll be back with you again on another broadcast. Take care. Love all of you. And the greater power of God is in you. Have a great day.